What's up, guys? We're Sauce Williams, aka TheSwolefessor, here, education on health and social well-being. On screen, you guys can be seeing training footage from last Saturday all the way up until this past Sunday, excluding Monday's secondary squat day where I do my SSB squats. For whatever reason, I don't have recording of that. I don't even remember why not, but that's okay because I will be taking you guys through each individual day here over the upcoming weeks over with what this current block is looking like as far as what I'm doing with the big three, my accessory work, everything like that. Things are starting to get into the process of opening back up here in Texas, so I'll be able to take you guys through that in its entirety. But while all this footage is playing on screen for right now, what I want to talk to you guys about with this video is the importance of really two things that kind of go hand in hand. The first thing is to understand that not everything you try is going to work for you. Meaning, there's just certain things when it comes to training, whether we're talking about that's ideal for building your muscle mass, your strength, certain cues for your technique. There's just certain things that you're going to try that are not going to work well for you. They may work really great for others, but they may not work great for you. And that's just because there's different tools in the toolbox, and some are going to be more efficient for different scenarios and for different people. It doesn't mean that certain things are good or bad. Like, for example, it doesn't mean that some accessory movements are better than others. It just depends on what we're talking about, what the purpose is, and who we're talking about, right? And even though not everything is going to work for you, the reality is that you should be still willing to try everything. And it's simply because if you aren't willing to try everything, then you're never going to know for sure what works best for you or what doesn't. Now, let me be perfectly clear. I am not talking about going out of your way to try things that simply don't make sense, things that go against basic principles that we know to be true for everyone across the board. Like, for example, the idea of just like, okay, training with the same training volume and not increasing any aspect of it, not increasing reps, not increasing weight, not increasing sets, changing no aspect of your training volume and thinking, but I think I'm still going to be able to grow, because I've seen other lifters who do that and they're able to grow. Well, if you're seeing a lifter who's literally changing no aspect of their training variables, they're not doing any more workload over time, but they're still getting bigger, they're still building muscle, then that person is most certainly not natural. They're on drugs, and the PEDs is doing the work for them. Why? Because we know that in order for us to grow, we have to continue to do more training workload over time, right? And the reason that we can know that that's working is due to progressive overload. When you're able to take a weight that you can only do for 5 and then do it for 6 or 7 with the same range of motion, then progressive overload has occurred. Like, you have built muscle and as such can do more workload, or if your 1 rep max goes up, right? But in order for that to happen, is the body has to respond to training stimulus. It has to respond to the volume workload that we've done. It grows, it adapts, and then we can push it more, right? So certain things you don't have to worry about if it goes against basic principles. Another example that I always like to use is that if somebody says, oh, just do this diet and you'll lose weight, even if the diet doesn't put you in a calorie deficit, then you know that's nonsense, because that goes against basic principles that apply to all of us across the board. What I'm talking about are things that we know have some research backing it, or anecdotally we've seen and know work really well for a lot of people. I'm talking about being willing to try all of those things, because certain things you're not going to know until you try it. A lot of you who think maybe you're just only good at conventional, you won't know if you're good at sumo until you try sumo. A lot of you where you think you might be strongest with a certain grip width on bench, you won't know until you gradually ease your grip out and then gradually ease your grip in and try different grip widths to see what feels best. Certain cues that you might try to get you in certain positions for, like, your squat or whatever movement may be, you're not going to know what feels or works best for you until you actually trying different size heels for like your squat shoes, trying to squat in flats. These are all things that you guys have seen me do and seen me play with, and when I do so, I don't do it for just like a week or two. I actually, like, if I'm going to spend 4 months in flats, then if I decide to switch to a certain type of heel, I'm going to spend at least 4 months in those heels, so I have equal data to compare, right? And it doesn't mean that one of those won't be superior to the other, but it's the fact that I won't know which is superior for me until I try it. And I feel like a lot of people are afraid to do that. A lot of people are so stuck in their ways, sometimes out of laziness, but more often than not, I think it's out of fear. I think it's the fact that we don't want to feel like we're wasting time, or that we're setting ourselves back by trying something that doesn't work out. But the reality is oftentimes taking the time to try something, even if it doesn't work out, that's still good data for you to know, because you're probably going to figure out why it doesn't work. And sometimes figuring out what doesn't work helps us more easily find what does work, or what might even be more optimal. Meaning, you might be doing something that's effective right now, and maybe you try something that's not as effective, but maybe because you tried something and it was so detrimental, it made you realize, maybe instead of going back to what I was doing, I'll go back even further along the spectrum to more of the opposite of what I just tried, because if this is really detrimental for me, then maybe something else will be really, really good for me. And it just depends on what we're talking about. When it comes to trying different accessory movements, we know that due to how certain people are built biomechanically, some of us are going to do better with certain lifts than others. So if it's a lift, let's say it's an accessory lift for your back that you're really, really good at, and you can get a lot out of it, you can like get a lot of workload into it and recover well from it, then that might be something you need to stick with. Compared to maybe something else, but you won't know until you try it, right? And the reality is as you get more comfortable accepting the fact that this is a long-term thing when it comes to not just powerlifting, but strength training in general. Like, you build strength and muscle over years and years and years. And in the grand scheme of things, trying something out for a few weeks or for a couple of blocks, a couple of months, is not going to set you back as much as what you think. And I feel like the reason a lot of people won't do it, like I said, is simply just due to fear. We don't want to feel like we're setting ourselves back. We don't want to feel like we're trying something that ends up not being really, really ideal. Like, for example, you guys just saw on screen right here that I ended up on this is my primary deadlift day. I ended up pulling 485 pounds for my single, like a RP of 6. And then I had 419 pounds for my back downs. What you're going to see is on this primary squat day, which is my secondary pull day, on Saturday, right? I ended up pulling the same weight, 485 pounds, for a top set of 4 pause for a PR. And then I smoked my back down sets of 4 with 419 pounds pause, the same weight that I struggled to move on my primary day. And granted, there's different variables that go into account with that, like the fact that instead of my primary deadlift day being on Wednesday, it actually got pushed to Thursday along with my tertiary day squats, just because I wasn't able to train that Wednesday, so I had to push it on Thursday. But in my mind, I was thinking, oh, I'll probably feel really, really crappy then on my primary squat day in terms of deadlifts because I didn't have as much time to recover, but I actually ended up feeling really, really good. And I'm convinced that the reason for that is the fact that for the longest time, for those who've been following my channel for a while, before 2018, I always had my heavy squat day, like usually on the first day of training day of the week. And then on the second training day of the week would be my heavy deadlift day. Then from 2018 all the way till October 2019 up to nationals, before I started training under my current coach, Brad, my heavy squats and heavy deadlifts would be on the same day. And it always felt amazing for me. Like, even though, yeah, I just did my heavy squats, I just felt really good doing my heavy deadlifts right after. But while being under Brad, like I said, since October 2019, what we've been playing with is trying having my heavier deadlift day later in the week, further away from my heavy squat day, just to see if that would feel better. And even though it's been going well, I would say that it, feels a little bit better than doing my heavy deadlift day the day right after my heavy squat day, because whenever I do heavy deadlifts the day right after my heavy squat day, it doesn't feel great. I feel kind of like that immediate acute fatigue from heavy squats the day before, right? But the issue is with doing the heavy deadlift day even later in the week is, even though I don't feel necessarily that immediately acute fatigue from the heavy squats, I just feel more fatigued in general later in the training week. And that might seem, well, yeah, no duh, or common sense or obvious, but that's not true, because for a lot of my clients, they do better with their heavy deadlift day being later in the week. A lot of my clients do well with their heavy deadlift day being the day after their heavy squat day. And then a lot of my clients do well with having their heavy squat and heavy deadlift on the same day. And I'm realizing now, based upon how deadlifts went this past Saturday, that that's still the bracket that I'm in. Despite having all this, like the past few months since, like I said, October 2019, where I've been having my heavy deadlift day later in the week, now that I actually have RPE-based deadlift work on my Saturdays, it feels so much better on the same day as my heavy squat day than what my primary deadlift days do later in the week. So I'll probably be transitioning back to that. But the point is, I now know this for sure because I tried all 3 different methods, and I have months of data for all of them to compare. So it doesn't have to be this thing where, well, I'm not sure, or is this a fluke, because I can look at the months of data to see what's best. So you guys will probably, after this block, be seeing me transition to having my heavier deadlift day just purposely be set on my heavy squat day, since I'm feeling better as far as pulls on that day anyway. But that's just an example of how I would not have come to this realization if I hadn't tried all of them. And even if I tried one of them and it was working really well, I would always have to wonder, could I be doing a little bit better? Could I be progressing a little bit faster? And at the end of the day, if you don't necessarily care about optimal progression, just so long as what you're doing is effective and you're progressing, you're happy, then yeah, you don't have to be willing to experiment with every little thing. You can just, if it's working, right? If it's not broke, don't fix it. But if you're more like me, where, hey, you want to know all your variables, you want to account for every possibility so that you can really maximize your results because you know you have the time to do so anyway, then it's worth it. So that's pretty much the main point of this video, guys, and the point I was trying to drive home with you guys. It's like, don't be afraid to try everything, but just know that not everything's going to work for you. Don't be one of these people where you want to keep doing everything and keep going back and forth between different stuff, because that's ultimately going to slow you down more. But don't be the person where you're so unwilling to try something new at the same time. Try the different things. Don't try everything at once. Try one thing at a time. Collect the data on it. And then based upon how everything's moving and how you're feeling, go from there so you can know for sure what's going to be best for you. That's when that comes down to your changes in technique, your changes in your programming volume, or your changes in what accessories you try. It applies to everything when it comes to your lifting across the board. And it can even apply in some aspects to your nutrition. But yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to get out with this video, guys. I just want to talk about a topic that I felt could be applied to everyone across the board, kind of no matter what level you're at. But yeah, that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, go and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you did. If you're not, leave a comment down below. Let me know what can be better. Like the video, share, subscribe. Keep it simple, specific, scientific, and I'll catch you guys later.